Math 8 students, what's up? This is Mr. Rizzio here. I know I might look a little bit different. I got a haircut, cleaned up the mess a little bit. Obviously, I am not at school right now. I am at home. This is my backyard. Welcome. I don't plan on doing videos from my backyard often, but I need to because I am stuck at home right now. So here it is. So next thing in the number sense unit is talking about our perfect squares. Now, it's not something that you're individually tested on that much, but you do need to know your perfect squares in order to be successful in different parts of the unit. So let's get into it. I have my fancy whiteboard. Okay, so obviously I don't have a whiteboard, giant like at school, but we're going to use this for now. So perfect squares. What we're going to do is we're going to make a list 1 all the way up to 25 square. Now, if you can't remember what a perfect square is a number times itself. If I said 1 squared, that is 1 times 1. If I said 2 squared, that is 2 times 2, and so on. So we're just going to make a list. At some point, if you wanted to make flashcards for this, because you're going to need to memorize them all the way up to 25, you can make your own flashcards. Normally, we would do that during class. Obviously, even if I was at the school right now, we wouldn't be able to do that, all of us. For those of you that are just remote, you got to be able to do it on your own. So first, we're going to make the list. At some point, I'm going to put out there, 10 minutes, 5 minutes of your perfect squares practice, and you will have to do that. Okay, so flashcards would help, but for now, we're just going to make the list. Obviously, I'm not going to go through every single one super slowly. I'll kind of skip ahead. So make sure you're ready to pause the video so you can copy some of the correct answers down. So starting very basic, 1 squared, 1 times 1 is 1. And then we just move on. 2 squared, 2 times 2 is 4. 3 squared, 3 times 3 is 9. And then you're just going to keep making the list. Let's just go up to 10 real quick here. And here we go. So here's the list 1 through 10. If you need to pause the video, go ahead and write them down. Okay, 1 through 10 should be very basic. It is simply your times table. Okay, if you don't know your times table, well, hopefully throughout the year you will get a little bit better at it, but 1 through 10 is your times table, okay? You will also notice there's going to be some sort of pattern. So if we look at 1 squared, well, 1 squared ends in a 1. So if we were to move on to 11 squared, which equals 121, you'll notice that also ends in a 1. Okay, 2 squared ends in a 4. If we look at 12 squared, that gives us 144. It ends in a 4. So that is just kind of one thing that's going to help you, is realizing that 1 squared ends in 1, so 11 squared has to end in 1. Because when you multiply it out, that's actually the first thing you're multiplying is the 1 times 1. 12 squared, first thing you multiply is the 2 times the 2, which gives you a 4. Okay, that is just one little helpful hint. Now, another thing that you might realize is that there's a pattern here, okay? To get from 1 to 4, we add 3. To get from 4 to 9, we add 5. To get from 9 to 16, we added 7. Okay, it just goes up by odds each time. So if you ever get stuck making your list, you can simply just go up by the next odd number and make the next one from there, okay? Another thing you will notice, let's say you didn't know what 12 squared was. I'm going to erase it real quick. Let's say you didn't know what 12 squared is, but you knew the next couple ones. 13 squared is 169, 14 squared is 196, 15 squared is 225. Let's pretend you knew those. So good, again, if you need to pause the video, write them down. But let's pretend you knew those. Obviously, 12 squared needs to fall between 121 and 169. So if you were going backwards sometimes, like if I gave you what is the square root of 144, well, you already know what 11 and 13 is. It has to be 12, okay? So that's just another thing that is going to help you along the way of doing this. So what you should do now, if you want, go ahead, pause the video, try make the rest of the list, and then I'll go ahead and show the rest of the list on here so you can make sure you get them down. Okay, we're only going up to 1 through 25. Okay, this is 1 through 15, so you're almost there. And here is the rest of your list. Okay, now you'll notice that the highest one is 625. Okay, so quickly pause if you need to. Okay, the highest number is 625. So if I ever give you the square root of, let's say, 576, which you notice is 24 squared, okay, you kind of got to use common sense with this. If you know your list only goes up to 625, that's a pretty high number. Maybe you should start with something high. On the test, if you get stuck, well, you just kind of guess and check. If you think it might be 24 squared, you just multiply 24 times 24 and go from there. It's just 2-digit multiplication. It's nothing new. Okay, but realize what your list goes up to, and realize that the list, it only goes up to 25 squared, okay? So if you ever get something like 25 squared, you know it can't be higher than this. If you had this and you're trying to figure it out, you know it can't be higher than 25. So don't start guessing 26 and stuff like that. Okay, but you will need this list. Again, if you want to make flashcards, make flashcards. That's going to help you with practicing these things. Okay, on multiple tests and quizzes, you will need to know these. Okay, if you have them memorized, it's going to make your life a lot easier. If you don't have them memorized, you're going to be doing a lot of multiplying in order to figure them out. But that has to do it for today. Stay safe out there. Have a good one. I'll see you next time.